Welcome back. This week I want to talk about something really important. The fact that grief not only affects us emotionally, but it also affects our bodies. And the exhaustion that you feel after experiencing tremendous grief and loss is real. What if the reason you can't get off the couch, you can't answer text messages, you can't think clearly, is because your body is carrying grief too. And grief is really heavy. And it's something that we need to learn how to process, even if it's just little tiny baby steps. Some of the physical signs of grief include this heaviness, like you're wearing a weighted jacket, brain fog, lack of motivation, body pain, actual physical pain, deep exhaustion. So it's really important to remember that your body is going through something extremely traumatic and difficult. And although we live in the world that wants us to go, 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 keep going, get back to work, stay busy, the body is saying, I can barely survive. So just doing little tiny things is more than I can handle. Your body is just trying to survive each day. So for me, aside from the emotional turmoil, one of the things that I really was not prepared for was the physical exhaustion of grief. And that manifested in so many ways. First of all, I drove myself to go, but yet I never had energy. I felt completely depleted for a really long time. And I had to learn to take care of myself, to do simple things, and to rest. The world can't see grief physically. So they want you to pick up the pieces and move forward and get through it. But your body is telling you this is heavy. And that's part of the process, is learning how to carry that grief and rest when you need to until you can slowly start to release some of it. Because grief is not just emotional. It's physical, it's spiritual, it's hormonal, it's neurological. Again, your body is literally trying to survive grief. I remember after losing my son, I went back to work in a couple of weeks, and I felt like I couldn't think. And luckily, I had co-workers at that time that just wrapped themselves around me, helped me remember words. I couldn't think of words. I couldn't think of medications that I was prescribing. I couldn't think the names of them. And I really thought, wow, something's wrong with me. And yes, something was wrong with me. It's called grief brain. My body was holding so much trauma and so much grief that I couldn't connect neurologically. I just couldn't. And it was with a lot of love and patience and kindness that I slowly started to regain that thought process. But I'm going to tell you, sometimes, even now, I find myself like having glitches where I just can't think, because grief does continue to visit. You know, there's holidays. It doesn't even have to be anything specific. And you can really, really miss that loved one, or, you know, circumstance that is carried within your body. So there's things that we can do, and we're going to talk about that. I wrote a list. Before we talk about the things that you can do, let's see how many of you can relate to this list associated with grief. There's extreme fatigue, brain fog, forgetfulness, body aches, gut issues, anxiety, loss of appetite, or, in my case, feeding to numb that pain, insomnia or oversleeping, and sometimes both. Immune system crashes. After my dad died, my mom had so many health issues that following year. She was hospitalized for some lung issues and some stomach issues, and I myself had so much physical pain in my joints initially after that grief. I just felt like I couldn't move. And granted, I'm older now. I still have aches and pains, but it's nothing like it was right after that initial jolt of grief. Nervous system deregulation. We don't think clearly. Our hormones are all out of whack. Cortisol rises. Stress increases. Little things that used to just be nothing really upset us, and sometimes we overcompensate for fear of the life changes that we are experiencing. I know for me, my son died from an overdose, so I was so worried about losing other people, and I have lost others since, Brad. And when friends or other people lose loved ones and we lose other people, it just exacerbates that. I don't know if that's the word. It intensifies that grief response. So it's something that we have to look at within ourselves so that we can regulate our nervous system. What happens is your nervous system gets stuck in survival mode. That's all we're trying to do, is survive this traumatic loss. And it's tough to break free from that. And sometimes darkness has its teaching. And there's no way around that pain but doing little tasks to help us along this journey can be very helpful in the healing process. Some of the things that society teaches us, or the lies that we tell ourselves about grief, is we've got to be strong. I can get through this. Time will heal me. You might think, oh, I'm just being lazy, or I'm broken, or I can't be fixed. But those are lies that we're telling ourselves. And yes, grief does alter us, but we will survive and we'll be stronger once we emerge from this deep sadness. Your body is asking for restoration, not punishment. And that's one of the things I had to learn, is it's okay to rest. It's okay to cocoon up a little bit and just take care of your basic necessities. And for me, that's why creativity became such a catalyst, because it's something that you can do quietly and take your brain to a different place than constantly wallowing in that murky water of grief. So what are some tiny ways that we can start to heal our bodies during grief? Or even like with me, if I have moments, sometimes I'll have a day where the day before I'm fine, I'm getting things accomplished, and then I wake up the next day and I'm not motivated. I don't want to do anything. I have lists, I can't accomplish them, and I feel lazy, but it's my body telling me it's okay to take a step back and just cocoon and do the things that help me feel better. I'll watch a movie, or I'll work on some art projects. And for me, these little daily hearts that I have been making have been so therapeutic, because it's just little tiny segments of time that I can take to immerse myself in something that doesn't have to be, wonderful. It's just something that you can make. I'm making all these little hearts, and eventually I'm going to give them to people. And I have a whole envelope full of hearts to hand out. Just doodling, keeping the mind busy. And what I love about these is it just takes 5 minutes. And it just totally changes the way you're feeling. Now, I do want to say this. Sometimes we think we have to be motivated to do these things. But that's a lie that we tell ourselves, because actually motivation comes after action. We have to do in order to feel better. I might not feel like going to the gym, but I'm going to make myself. I might not feel like drawing or writing in my journal, but even if I write 2 or 3 lines, that action leads to repetition, which leads to living a healthier life and bringing joy and abundance back into my body. So I want you to realize you don't have to overhaul your whole life. It can start with simple, tiny habits. Getting up and journaling, making your bed every day, doing 10 sit-ups or light stretching in the morning, taking a walk, going outside in your bare feet, sitting in the sunshine. Today I made sourdough English muffins. And for me, cooking has always been therapeutic. I love to cook and I love to create new things in the kitchen. That might not be your gig. Maybe you'll get a steel drum like I have, and I play music in the morning sometimes. I always try to incorporate some type of creativity into my life, whether it be turning on the radio and dancing for one song. When you force yourself to take action and try little things, it helps move that grief through your body, and eventually you can release it. Some people have tried a weighted blanket, or just putting your hand over your heart and doing a simple, repeat that 5 times. Have you ever tried to hug yourself? Let's do it right now. Give yourself a tight squeeze and let yourself know how much you love yourself. Just remember, tiny actions create momentum. So think about that little pebble rolling down the hill. When you first start to roll the pebble down the hill, it kind of goes, but as it gets down to the bottom, it goes faster and faster and faster. And that's the momentum that you want to create with your own healing journey. Creativity is instrumental in healing. Have you ever tried finger painting? I don't know if you did that as a kid, but we loved finger painting when I was a kid. Getting the paint all over your fingers and making a mess, making mud pies. Gardening is really therapeutic for some. I like plants, but I'm not a huge gardener. When you are using creativity, you're actually releasing the dopamine and the endorphins in your brain that promote healing. Those are the natural chemicals that sometimes can be helped with antidepressant medications, but there are ways that we can release those chemicals in our brain to help that nervous system naturally. It's also important that you find support in a community. And that's why I created the school group, and you can find that link in the show notes. It's the Creative Grief Journey community in school, and it's free. I also added in their journal prompts for 30 days. You can go through 30 days of these journal prompts and just start writing out some feelings, because I find it beneficial to have some guidelines. This is for you because these are things that helped me. I also feel, for me personally, retreats have been such a positive influence on my healing journey. I attend retreats regularly, and I will be offering some retreats as well. It's almost like taking that gas can, you go to the gas station, and you don't just put a little bit in every day, you fill the whole thing up. And then when you leave the retreat, you have all these little tools that you can continue to keep that gas tank filled. We're going to Belize in November, so if that's something you're interested in, let me know. That is going to be incredible. In June, there is a one-day retreat at the Wellness Center in Bellevue, Ohio. That's going to be wonderful too. And I've created these little journals, handmade, that you can take with you as a gift for coming to the retreat and continuing this creative practice when you're not at the retreat. I also want you to remember this. Nature doesn't rush healing, right? We can't rush our grief process. It is a process. It is a journey. I can give you tools. You can get tools anywhere. You don't have to get them from me. But it's a process. So think about a tree in the wintertime. All the leaves fall off the tree. It's bare. But is the tree dead? No, it's not. It's resting. It's going through that season of wintering. And then when spring comes, new buds form, and then leaves, and summer you get the green foliage. It's the circle of life. And with grief, we can't expect to be green and leafy in the wintertime. What about a bone? I broke my wrist when I was, in elementary school. And I wanted it to be healed right away, but it wasn't. It took weeks to heal. And it took casting. So we keep the bone still. We let the bone rest, and then it heals. If a forest has a wildfire, it takes a while for the green foliage to come back. It takes a while for bloom, for wildlife. All of that takes time to rejuvenate and heal. Grief mimics nature. So maybe the only thing you need to remember now is to stop fighting humanity. Grief takes time. So if you haven't heard anything else, I want you to realize, if grief has stolen your energy, that does not mean you're failing at life. You're carrying something really heavy, and it takes time to learn how to slowly release, break the chains that are weighing you down, and put that grief down. So maybe right now, healing doesn't look like some big, magnificent transformation. Maybe it looks like drinking water when you get up in the morning, making your bed, writing a couple lines in a journal, moving, stretching, eating a nourishing meal, resting on the couch, watching a movie, listening to some music. Those are all important parts of your healing journey. And remember, even when your heart rests, it's still beating. Even when the tree is wintering, it's still alive. And even when you can't see the seed buried beneath the soil, it's still growing and getting ready to bloom, just like you. If this episode spoke to you, or you feel it might help somebody, please share it. And always remember, keep creating, keep feeling, and keep coming back to you. And I'll be right here with you on the journey.